Todd, welcome back to SuperChat.
Good morning, Gary. How are you?
I'm just fine. Well, as everyone knows, recently in Florida, there was a tragic school shooting. It has been reported that the shooter was quite a troubled 19-year-old male. Needless to say, really, that school safety has been a very hot topic with many of the schools we've been speaking with daily. In the past, most schools were what is termed a soft target. However, in recent years, many school districts have installed security-related systems and also taken steps that have changed procedures within their operations. It's been a pretty conscious effort, actually, in recent years. But what can you share with our listeners regarding the steps Northwest local schools have taken in the direction of school safety in recent times?
Yeah, I appreciate this opportunity, Gary, because it is at the forefront of everything we're doing lately. Our parents are concerned, staff, students, myself, and others. So if I talk about something, you have a question, feel free to interrupt me, but I just appreciate the opportunity to talk about some of the safety issues that are going on. First of all and foremost, it's a big topic everywhere and an ongoing conversation. I don't think you can turn local news on at any night and not see something that is going on or something that has occurred. The tragedy itself seems to get out quicker and in more detail than ever versus social media, which in turn I think is what's caused some of the trauma for some of our parents and students. It's on Twitter, it's on Instagram, it's everywhere. And with the amount of cell phones that are being carried and all the apps they have, people have instant access to it. So I think that just magnifies the situation. Safety has always been the forefront of everything we've done, ever since Columbine. Some history of what's gone on in our district. As a district, we wrote grants that the state reimbursed us for security entry systems. And what these include is one way to go in and out of a school by visitors, a buzzer system, a camera that shows you who is ringing the buzzer. And then each school has the expectation that they will greet the visitor, say hello, welcome them to their school, and then ask how they can help. The purpose behind this is not to annoy parents, not to annoy visitors, but just to get a look at what's going on, who they are, and what might be going on. We also have resource officers at both of our high schools, emergency plans that are in place that are individualized for each school. I've had a lot of calls over the past 2 weeks about wanting to know specifics about our plans, and that's a hard thing to communicate to folks because we don't want folks to know exactly what our plans are, what we do, how we react, and where we go. Because once that gets out, then it does open the door for more issues if somebody would get in the building. That's not us being stubborn. That's just us being smart about what we plan and how we do it and keeping that to ourselves. We meet quarterly with our district safety team. And what we do is we invite all our parochial schools. We have a district that has a lot of parochial schools in it. It also consists of our administrators in our buildings. And then we are in 3 townships. We're such a large district. So we have Green Township, Colerain Township, and Springfield Township. So we invite all of them to the table, and we just have open discussions on what's going on. If you go back a few years, in our area, we had a shooting at a parochial high school. And what we did is we got with them, one, to support them, but also, how did you process this? How did you make changes or what went on? And we just try to learn through each other. That's the biggest key of what we can do. We have great relationships with our police department and our fire department. And while we've been building our 3 new elementary schools, we have worked hand in hand with local police and fire to make sure that we are building schools that are safe, that are proactive in dealing with fires, proactive in dealing with intruders. And we couldn't do that without their help. But, as much as we all do, none of this is 100% guarantee for protection and safety. We do our best. We stay proactive and try not to be reactive, but nothing is guaranteed 100%. We'd like to think schools are a place where kids can go and for 7 hours a day be safe, learn, and we think we have that atmosphere, but we will continually revisit what we're doing. Recently, some folks might want to know what's changed since the Florida shooting. Well, again, it's a proactive stance. We met with Colerain Township and Green Township police chiefs. We asked them to revisit our safety plans, walk the buildings anytime they want. have their officers drive through the parking lots, check out for open doors that we should be aware of or anything that should be going on. But more importantly, just give us their feedback. The most important thing we've done, and I think parents who travel can relate to this, is we've added slogans across the schools: see something, save something. It's no different than when you go to an airport and they ask you, has anybody asked you about your baggage? Has anybody given you anything to carry? We need that same thing to happen with our students and our parents. There's been several times I've gotten phone calls from parents who will see something on their son or daughter's social media and report it to me of concern. And that's exactly what we need. We hope that students seek out their parents as their number one resource for being concerned or worries or see something, say something. But during the school day, through social media, now that cell phones are everywhere, we have one-to-one technology. If anybody sees anything inappropriate, it takes all of us working together. It's not just one person. So it's our teachers working with relationships with our kids that they feel that they can communicate when something's going on. It's our administrators. And the last thing we want is our students to feel like they're ratting or calling somebody out. That's not the purpose of this. The purpose of this is to be hypersensitive about something that might be inappropriate or something that might lead to danger for our students.
We are talking with many schools that indicate, similar to what you were describing in terms of having some sort of a reliable channel of communication that a student, a staff person, a parent, or a community member has a place to report specifically a process of anything that they hear or see that just seems a bit unusual, suspect, or out of the ordinary, because a lot of this can be prevented, as it turns out. And people, I think, have just become so conditioned to just say, well, it's probably nothing. But really, you never know. Let the professionals deal with it, right?
Exactly. And I want parents to get, as we get to middle school and high school, our kids want to push this way. It's embarrassing to have your mom and dad. But, if you're the one paying that cell phone bill, then it is within your right to have access to all their social media. There's so many out there. If you could just monitor that, whether it's Musical.ly or Instagram or Twitter. For our parents, most of them are on Facebook. But anything they can do to monitor their own kids' social media, that is so important because that is their responsibility, just like it is ours. Some of the other things we've done is, I don't know if people are aware, but it's mandatory that once a year your staff revisits safety training. So we do the ALICE training, and it's changed over the years, but we started off this school year with training our staff. Each school is required by law to 3 times a year have a drill and practice with the students. And it's funny, I have advisory teams at each high school, and they are the ones now suggesting, well, we do some drills when we're in classrooms. We've done some drills at lunch and hallway exchange. And now that they're hearing about Florida and that the fire drill was pulled, they're like, maybe we should do all our practices during those times where we don't think anything's going to happen. So that there tells me that the students are concerned, but they're also being proactive in their thinking because they want to be ready for anything.
The random nature of the drill, I think, in itself lends a lot of effectiveness to the drill itself, yes?
Oh, very much so. We've had a couple local folks around here in the media say, we should never do fire drills again. Nobody's died of a fire in 50 to 100 years. Well, that's because we practice fire drills once a month, mandated by law. We practice them and we're good at it. Well, the same thing has to happen with these safety plans, whether we're in lockdown or something else. So,
Todd, let me ask you this. What is your opinion of any school, anywhere in the country, because there's a lot of chatter about this, of having volunteer staff members or teachers screened, properly trained, proficient, and licensed with concealed carry to have a weapon concealed on their person while at work in order to help potentially neutralize any active shooter situation should it ever happen, God forbid?
Yeah, and that's a big discussion. And you know what? Where we are in Hamilton County, there's not a lot of discussion about it, but in counties that border us in Butler County and Warren County, there are huge discussions. It's more rural areas. A lot of things to think about there. First of all, we have had no discussions with the Board of Education about arming staff. It's highly recommended by our legal team to really think about that if you do it, because there's a lot of things to consider. Is a teacher physically or mentally prepared to carry a gun? Are they physically and mentally prepared to have to shoot a student. Those are things that we don't think we're ready to address. There's roles of unions. There's mental health of employees. There's liability. What if a weapon is lost or stolen? What if the employee is disarmed? If there's an accidental discharge, is it intentional or malicious? There's too many things that go into that. And I don't think we're there yet. It is an ongoing discussion that we will continue. But right now, Ohio law, and the board can change that through their policy, states that no individual besides a police officer can bring an armed weapon into the school. Now, parents can drive through and have conceal and carry permits and have it with them, but they can't bring it into the school. So we're not really there just yet.
Understand. Well, Northwest is a large school district, as you indicated, but do you think you have an effective and open channel of communication with students? Do students, do you think, feel and have the type of relationship with staff that they could just approach them and say, hey, I heard this and I saw this, and do you think that exists? I mean, it seems to be common within schools that certain students will kind of connect up with and have a good enough, strong enough relationship with staff that could easily happen.
Yeah, and in order for students to learn, that relationship is also important there. But yeah, I do think for the majority of our students, they feel they have that relationship, whether it be with a teacher, an administrator, a counselor, or their parents, and that the parents feel secure enough at any time they can call us or email us to let us know about a concern. We work on that very hard and diligently, because if these see something, say something signs are going to work, the biggest part of that is relationships. It's the nature where you get a kid to see that, no, I'm not ratting or calling somebody out. I'm just doing what's best for the overall safety of myself and my friends. So that's been a big piece. The other part I wanted to talk about was the March 14th scheduled walkouts that have been advertised across the U.S. The Women's March is sponsoring a national walkout on March 14th, and this has come with a bag of emotional outbursts by parents, not so much the students, worrying about why would you schedule a day and an exact time to have students walk out and let everybody know when that's going to occur? And if that's going to occur, what are you going to do about it? Well, we've caught a lot of flack in the media lately because over the last 2 weeks, there's not been social media about the March 14th walkout. There's been social media from our kids saying, hey, let's walk out at 10 o'clock on Friday. Let's walk out at 2 o'clock on Thursday. And so we had to put a stop to it and tell them that those walkouts are not scheduled. Administration knows nothing about it, and we will not allow them. And the parents' overall support has been overwhelmingly positive about keeping the students safe, which is what this is exactly about. We appreciate and we understand why they're wanting to do the national walkout, but our number one concern is safety, safety, safety. So our principals have worked with each school. They've worked with the students. They have plans for what they'll do on that day. They will keep the kids inside internally where they can monitor what's going on. But they've also heard from students that they'd like to do some letter writing campaigns. They'd like to invite some local legislatures in to talk to them about what changes could be made. But we're trying to do this in a controlled environment where it can help and not put them at risk. And there's another one scheduled for April 20th, which is for the Columbine memory. And that also is just getting up and walking out. So I love that everybody wants to remember and have memorials and do this, but don't do it if you're putting student safety in jeopardy. And that's what's happening with a lot of these named dates, times, and protests. We're setting our kids up for a possibility of having a safety situation. So we are in support of our students. They need to be heard. They need to be able to voice their concerns. We want to help them articulate their feelings and what they want to do. But we just ask that our students work with teachers and administration so that we can do it and provide the safest environment for it to occur.
Well, the safety of students and staff in our nation's schools, as you mentioned, is absolutely paramount. And I'm sure that some solutions will come to the surface on this as more and more attention is brought to bear. Well, Todd, I appreciate you discussing this very important topic by offering this information and sharing. And I do understand your hesitancy on revealing some of the confidential aspects of your safety procedures. That's the way it needs to be handled. But I do want to thank you for joining me today here on SuperChat.
Yeah, we appreciate just a chance to communicate with you, Gary, and our public. We need to keep lines of communication open because them seeing something and saying something is just as important as our kids. So appreciate the opportunity.
You are quite welcome, sir.